Hi there, and welcome to this course. I'm Kevin. I'm a solution architect and have worked in the IT industry for more than 20 years. I'm a Microsoft MVP for more than 10. My focus these days is architecture and security for web apps and integration components using .NET and Azure. So I tend to spend quite a bit of time in Visual Studio each working day. The enormous steps forward in AI have taken the world by surprise. AI is everywhere, and that includes Visual Studio. In this course, I'm going to teach you how to effectively use it in your development environment to boost your productivity. This is a getting started course, so you don't need to have any previous experience with using AI. But even if you have, I hope that I'll be able to show you something new. It's amazing what AI can do these days, if used wisely. So, if you're already familiar with using AI in Visual Studio with Copilot and just want to pick up some tips and tricks on using it, or if you're completely new to it and want to know how to start using it, this course is for you. Let's have a look at what exactly you will learn in this course. I'll start with showing you how to get started with AI-assisted development in Visual Studio. You will learn what IntelliCode, GitHub Copilot and GitHub Copilot Chat are and how they compare. Copilot is the go-to option to work with AI in Visual Studio. A good way to look at it is as your personal AI programmer. Then, together, we will take our first steps with Copilot. I'll show you how to use it in various ways from inside of Visual Studio. It's not all demos though. I believe that having some notion of how Copilot's AI works underneath the covers will help improve the way you interact with it. So we will have a look at what generative AI and large language models are and how they work. After that little bit of theory, we will dive into prompts and prompt engineering. Simply put, a prompt is what you feed into an AI large language model so it results in an outcome, a piece of code typically, that you desire. Prompt engineering is the art of creating prompts in such a way that you get better outcomes. Once you know how to engineer your prompts, we will look at how Copilot can improve your productivity in your day-to-day job. I've named that section A Day in a Developer's Life with Copilot. Essentially, we're going to use Copilot to develop a new feature in a codebase. You will learn how to use Copilot to get to know the codebase. You will learn how to use it, how to talk to it actually, how to chat with it to help you write code. You will learn how it can be used to fix warnings and errors, how it can help in debugging code, with dealing with exceptions, how it can help you with documenting your code, and even how to refactor with the help of Copilot. Exciting stuff ahead. Let's have a look at what the prerequisites are and then dive in. This course is geared towards developers, architects, consultants, anyone really who develops with Visual Studio. All day, every day, or just from time to time. Save for some previous experience with coding in Visual Studio, there are no real prerequisites. At least not on a technical level. One prerequisite is that you're a bit curious about AI and how it can help boost your productivity. As far as code is concerned, where applicable, each section has its own starter and finished sample solution, so you can use that to follow along. I'd advise you to follow the course from beginning till end, but it's not a strict necessity. You can also just jump in at whichever section you choose. The starter solution will always match the beginning of the section. The finished solution will match what we end up with after the section. So there you go. That's it for the intro section. Let's dive in. Hi there. Welcome to the Getting Started section, which is, well, all about getting started with AI in Visual Studio. We will first dive into the different AI assistant development options that exist in Visual Studio. The focus of the course is on Copilot and Copilot Chat, so after having detailed that, I will show you how to install and enable it in your IDE. We'll have a look at the different pricing plans together, and I will show you how to configure it. Let's dive in. So, you're watching a course on AI. More specifically on how AI can help you in your day-to-day life as a developer. A good way to start is, of course, to have a look at the different options for AI assistant development we have in Visual Studio. And the first one may surprise you a little bit because it's been around for a while, before the AI hype exploded, in fact. It's IntelliCode, which is an AI assistant that helps with writing code, editing code, navigating through code, and so on. In fact, you're looking at it right now. It's integrated directly into the code editor window. The grayed out code you see here, well, that is IntelliCode at work. It's free and it's integrated in Visual Studio out of the box. The underlying AI models it uses run locally, and that means that none of the code leaves your machine. And that is also immediately its disadvantage. The data it can work on is rather limited. It's useful, but not as useful as larger cloud-based models can be. And that is where GitHub Copilot comes into play. The main thing people think about today when thinking about AI assistant development in Visual Studio is GitHub Copilot. This is an AI-powered coding companion that integrates seamlessly with Visual Studio. It can generate code from you, from small snippets to entire layers of code. What you see here, for example, is GitHub Copilot at work. It took a look at our codebase, saw an accounting service, and thought, well, maybe a create invoice method for this accounting service would make sense. But this is of course just a simple example. It can definitely help with improving the codebase you're working with and the quality of your code. You can ask it to try and improve the performance of your code. You can ask it to try and improve the readability, the security even, things like that. It can also help you understand code. You can ask it to explain a piece of code, for example, and much more. GitHub Copilot, as you can see, integrates directly into the code editor. You can also just pop it up if you want. And this is one common way of working it. But another common way of working it is through Copilot Chat. That's what you see on the right side of the screen right now. It's essentially a chat window that is integrated in Visual Studio to interact with Copilot. When using that, you get answers and suggestions in the chat window instead of in your code editor, using natural language. Copilot and Copilot Chat are the focus of this course. GitHub Copilot is powered by a generative AI model, which is developed by GitHub, OpenAI, which are the people behind ChatGPT, and Microsoft. It is a large language model, and there's more info on what exactly that is coming up later on in the course. Important to know is that there's more Copilots than just GitHub Copilot. You may have already read about that. Microsoft has Microsoft 365 Copilot as well, for example, which integrates with Office 365 apps like Word or PowerPoint. GitHub Copilot is the one that's catered towards coding and programming, so that is the one we are interested in. A good way, in my opinion, to look at Copilot is by considering it a pair programmer, someone who is sitting next to you and helps you, mostly. Copilot may suggest things to you while you're developing, right in your code editor window. But you can also ask it questions which it will try to respond to. So there is a form of interaction that goes both ways, from you to Copilot, but also directly from Copilot to you, almost seamlessly. Important to remember is that Copilot is often very helpful, but sometimes Copilot is also just plain wrong, just like a real human colleague maybe. That may be because you don't know yet how to efficiently interact with Copilot yet, and that's what I'm going to try and teach you during the course. But even then, it may also simply be wrong from time to time. So, you still really must know what you're doing, and you must know the codebase you're working on. Sure, Copilot and other AI tools can generate a few web pages from scratch, or write a game like 4 in a row, almost without errors in many coding languages. And that may look magical, but that is not what most of us work on in our day-to-day jobs, right? Often we're working on large code bases, building administrative software or integration APIs that consist of tens, hundreds of endpoints or screens, many different logical or physical layers that interact with each other, and very specific business algorithms. Copilot will definitely be useful, very much even, but in such a code base don't expect it to generate error-free code you can just copy-paste without inspecting it and potentially adjusting it. That will end in disaster. Copilot will not make a good programmer out of you if you don't know what you're doing. That is essential. It is a companion that helps and not a replacement. From my experience, I've noticed that Copilot will definitely speed up your coding process, whether it's through the integrated suggestions in the code editor or by interacting with it via chat. Personally, I've definitely learned things from it, but even more important than the new things you may learn, in my opinion, is simply the overall positive performance impact. Most of the code Copilot generates is something you and I could definitely have come up with ourselves as well. It's just that it's often a lot faster to simply ask Copilot a question. For example, something like generate a generic repository named X with methods for getting one, getting all, creating, updating and deleting an entity of type T, than it is to write that code yourself. Alright, so with that, you should already have an idea of what Copilot looks like. I hope you're feeling a bit excited about starting to use it. So, let's have a look at how to install it.